Hello, everybody out there in Twitch and D&D land. This is the exposition to Zodiac Story Arc number 3. No announcements, nothing else. If you see it on the screen, it's there. Enjoy that. But before we do that, first, I would like to thank all of the players who've been in this journey since damn near the beginning. Sin, Carl, and Fett, even though you are not here. All three of you have been here for such a long time supporting this community, and I'm very proud to have such a amazing game at my disposal. We're not the most heavily viewed one, but as for all of the other games, I think this one definitely has the most story that has happened between everybody. You've made this a delight, and all of the new people joining in, I thank you all very much as well. You have a lot of big shoes to fill and expectations put up onto you, but you're not joining into a D&D game because you want to have low story and low roleplay moments. You're joining this game because you love the game, and this is what it is meant to be. Not everything happens that we like, but unfortunately we have to keep moving forward and accept that the story will mold and change how it needs to. Even ends are beautiful things inside of a story. Last session, there were two ends. Imperial, valiantly fighting against the Croton in its truest form, trying to run around and assist your allies in getting out and away from this creature so you can figure out where the heart is and deactivate it. Unfortunately, you were not quick moving enough, and through all of your years and through everything that has transpired, your time came. Ellie, you did what you always do. You stood in front of every enemy. You stoically took all attacks. And you made sure your allies could move where they need to. Even the new ones, as you haven't gained their trust yet, you followed through in the one thing that you swore you would always do. And that is protect. Your might has always been incredibly fierce. Unfortunately, it was cut short against such a fiendish foe. Not all was lost. The rest of the party managed to find the heart, extract it from its encasement, and destroy it. Now, you watched as a foe that has been tormenting your party for so long finally leaves, no longer allowed to cross between realms or bother you any further. You see the vessel, this large heart, beating still but very slowly and with a faint glow. This is the object needed for Lucian to figure out more what his artifact is and how to better use it. You all take a moment, look around, gather your allies and their lost things. Alatar, you stand speaking inside of the ethereal realm with this mysterious woman wearing very gothic looking garbs that seem foreign to even you and your vast travels. You have time for 3 questions before you have to leave. She looks at you, very annoyed. What is it?
What are you doing here?
The same thing you are.
You must be a being of immense power to be able to travel the planes
Are you?
I believe so in my own way. Is there anything you could do to help my fallen brethren?
Anything the Croton kills remains dead.
I'm pretty sure I already knew that. But it was worth a shot.
You look back where currently your allies are dragging this bulbous heart out into an open corridor and gathering up your two fallen friends. You may want to hurry on, or they may not be able to take you with them, she says as she just starts walking away, still inside of this ethereal realm.
I look back at her one more time and then I step through to the regular plane.
You all watch as Alatar steps into reality for each of you. Right beside him, the body of Ellie, and looking down at it. A bit thinner, but everything's still intact. Lucian walks over to Imperial, lifts the body, looks at the rest of you. Carry Ellie, come on. We gotta take them home. You gather Ellie and their things, all stepping forward as Lucian unravels the scroll, keeping Imperial over his shoulder, the gauntlets assisting him in holding up the weight. And he begins reading incantations. As the incantation completes, there is a large circle that glows between each of you, and you're sucked through, traveling at that same speed, nowhere near as toxic as it was before, and pushing as hard as you all can. As you travel past, you see many different views upon the horizon. An impossibly large dragon that's tail just stretches across the vast expanse of the ethereal realm, purple in nature and long, with several arms and whiskers draping around it, just cruise by and passes. Another horrific sight of many different beasts, all entangling and crashing. But all of this seems irrelevant. You pass through an Alatar just on the cusp of your vision. You see a world very familiar to you. The northern half completely encased in a solid surface of ice. And throughout it, many different seas, ocean, and for what you know is populated with life, thrill, and adventure. You pass by Faerun, before eventually you all land, feet on the grounds. You look around at the solid marble floor beneath you. Several bookshelves surrounding you, and an enchanted circle ready for teleportation, recognizing Lucian's home, his room and study. As you land, the door bursts open with the same old halfling woman who tries saying something, but you just walk past her. You walk down the stairs out to the front courtyard, looking at the massive statue. The statue of your friend Nobu, the one who allows you all to stay here for free, sponsored by the nice, lovely community of Morian. The one of him flipping you all off. And behind that, another statue for each of you. You can't help but to feel that some time has passed since you've been gone. Although it's only felt like a day or so, they had time to build 6 large statues. All of them looking across all of Morian, dignifying this home as your own. And you see Nobu step out, arms stretched wide, with a large figure behind him, completely covered head to toe in metal and plate mail. A large crusader's helmet over top, as you each just look at Nobu. His eyes lock on Imperial. What happened? He looks between each of you expectantly. I mean, like, the big guy makes sense, right? He's always getting into the fight, but for fuck's sake, someone tell me what happened. Any of you may speak up.
They didn't make it. Glacius is gonna say. Ellie charged in and she didn't last long, and Imperial got caught by something. I wasn't able to see it. We should probably go bury them.
Yeah, yeah. He goes over, helps relieve some of the stress of carrying Ellie from the other 3 of you. And the large form walks over as well, offers to assist in the struggle that all of you seem to have with the sheer magnitude of your fallen comrade. And Nobu just go, he's fine, trust me, just let him help. I'll introduce you later. And you all walk through Morian. The crowd looks upon you all. Initially happy to see you, as they always are. Lucian and, well, Galahast? No? Lucian. But the moment they realize what's happened, their expressions fall. You're brought over to the shore. A large section of it completely evacuated of all people and life. Nobu actively wiping the tears away. So, is there a ritual or, I don't know what we're supposed to do here. Lucian steps forward, removing the items from each of the allies. Notably, leaving the gold on Imperial, all of the platinum. A site is dug for your friends. Maybe temporary, may be everlasting. Off in the distance, you see a cloud form. And it darkens and pales across the area you are standing in. Each of you feeling the cool warmth of the water territory, the breezy air pushing across you, and the light sprinkling of rain. A single bolt of lightning strikes beside where Ellie lays, and as it streaks out of the sand, a large glass bolt protrudes outwards, marking it. You look amongst yourselves, and under the shelter of the falling rain, it's indiscernible who's allowing the tears to flow and who is still fighting them back. Lucian is the first to collapse. Screaming and unleashing every emotion he's held up. For so long, since all of you have known him, and even longer before that, as the previous allies can attest, he's never shown a single flicker of his true feelings. He just keeps chanting. I shouldn't have hesitated. I should never hesitate. Galahas being the only one who realizes what that means. Remembering with him inside of that hall, taking that moment to think and ponder before taking his action. That one fleeting moment. Now, time passes by, although it's hard to discern how much. For many of you, loss is a consistent aspect of your life. And for others, friendship is something that is brand new to you. You're not quite sure how this is supposed to work. As you all eventually turn around from the site, there is a crowd of people, friends, some family, allies and neighbors. And they just look upon the sight, granting a stilling silence that the waters have never given before. Now, you walk back to your home, dripping wet, still fatigued from the battle that just transpired. Lucian walks into the grand hall, pushes past everything, places the belt firmly against one of the standing podiums, and with a burning hatred grabs onto the massive blade that Ellie's hand was carrying up until now. And through the searing force that just burns and sizzles unnaturally through his skin, he tosses it onto the table. You all smelling the fresh smell of burnt flesh as he's tried to touch it for even the briefest of moments. The staff is placed beside it, ceremoniously. The staff that Imperial had worn for so long, just kept by his side. And the gauntlet that he wore, Lucian taking and staring at for far too long. Nobu walks in with this same individual standing behind him. So what are you all doing now? Galahast, he looks at you first. You were muted that whole time.
I have to go and check in with the Hells and make sure that the fallen Sobek has ignited his trial.
He nods. If you need any help, just ask my sister. You know which house is mine. Don't try fighting her again, please. Not now. He turns next to you, Alatar.
Well, at this point, I think I'm going to find somewhere private and secluded here to erect a temple for Bahamut and do some pondering, spend some time trying to figure out more about planar travel.
I can have you talk to some people that know about secluded around here. Setting up that temple is gonna piss off a lot of people. I'd be more than happy for you to do that here.
I learned that early on when I first got here and, ended up in chains for expressing my ideals.
If you know the right people, you can get it done. I'll contact them.
It'd be much appreciated.
Turns over to you, Glacies.
I think I'm gonna go to Fevrin for a time. I had a lot of fun gambling there, plus mercenary work, and I heard some rumors about some augment down there that I might be interested in. I do want to...
Mercenary work?
Well, more like bounty hunting, but mercenary work if it's available.
Mind if I join you?
Feel free. I do want to have a moment with Fett, though, before we leave.
With who?
Or Lucian. With Lucian before we leave.
Alright. Then he turns over to Lucian. I have a lot of deals I have to pay up on. And a lot of planning I have to do for what I'm gonna do next. What are you gonna do next? I'm gonna make sure that these stones don't bother people anymore. And that these gods don't ruin any more lives. Alright. Well, I have a new friend. Just met him about a week ago since you've been gone. Gestures to the large individual. This is Orion. He seems to have a couple of similar interests. Orion, would you like to approach?
Yes.
You look at the scenario that you stood beside for fairly long, realizing the magnitude and the loyalty these individuals shared with those that have fallen. These might be the type of people you've been looking for. And if you would have liked, you could have cast a ceremony while they were there.
I didn't take ceremony spell.
You're a paladin, you can choose them by day, it's flavor. But you look at them, the people that Nobu has been telling you about for a little while, expectantly, and you lock eyes with that blade, the one you've been suspicious of.
I will approach.
You all see him walk past you directly towards the pile of artifacts your allies wielded. And as the large hand stretches out, grabbing the hilt, Lucian is instinctually summoning magic into his palm, ready to do everything he can to destroy somebody that disrespects them. But you watch as the pommel, the hilt, and the blade all seem to contort and twist. The symbol of Leo dissolves off the surface as this individual grabs the blade. And you watch as it readjusts itself and aligns itself very quickly. Orion is just like you suspected.
What a weapon, isn't it? Tell me, how did you bring down Leonidas?
That would be Sir Sobek's kill. He blew his head completely off. And during that momentary lapse where his body was reforming, Ellie took his weapon and hauled it away.
Nobu whispers to you, Ellie's the turtle. Points at the giant statue outside, much larger than everybody else's.
Of course I know who he is. After all, he followed the path I talked about in few years ago.
So,
And I will.
go ahead.
Oh. Where is Ellie's body, by the way?
It's been buried out onto the sandy
Oh.
shores. For now, it's a temporary placement, but it serves its purpose.
So, Holy Avenger is in my hand,
It is.
right?
and it's no longer shining with that same bright gold radiance, but now it is a dulling gray instead. And the symbol of Leo has dissolved off of it, and it has been replaced with no symbol since.
I will use my hand to reach where the symbol was and throw two symbol of wings
Rings?
with my gauntlet. Wings.
So, interlocking rings.
Or bird wings.
Wings.
Yeah, wings.
I
Yeah,
apologize.
sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. Wings. Two large wings produce themselves onto the hilt. What is the color of the blade now, Orion?
Blade becomes blackened in time to time when I grab it initially, and all the symbols are shining a bright starlight.
Much more beautiful and ceremonious looking blade. Less ostentatious, of course, but now suitable for its wielder. Lucian walks up to you, stares you in the eyes, a deep red covering all of his eyes. So what? You just show up and you think that you're allowed to take that? What are you doing here? Why did you come here?
I'm here to bury my friend, just like you did.
He looks at the letter that he did grab from Ellie's pocket, looks up at you and goes, Orion. Sorry. Sorry, I didn't recognize the name. Now, as you all stand there, looking upon each other and getting ready for what you need to do,
Can your sister take me to the front lines? This war has gone on far too long.
what do you
The truth needs to come out.
He looks at you. All right. I can help you get to the front lines. What? You're not planning on killing yourself, are you?
No.
Then what?
I am one of the forgotten ones. And his father needs to know who truly is responsible for the war of fire and water, who has been trying to usurp all of the gods.
Whatever.
And as one of the head military officials of Pisces, I must relay the last orders I was given.
We can help you go there, but no guarantee we can help you get out. If you say something that gets you killed, that's all you. But take a few days, people. You all separate. Going to the rooms that have been given to you to rest up in. Alatar and Glacies. Guest rooms are set up for you. There is more than enough to begin with in this home, but aside from the comforts, it's a very empty, large manor. One that none of you are particularly comfortable in right now. No echoing loud footsteps. No crackling fire under feet of the servants. It's more dull. However, as the days pass by, and each of you take your leave, one by one you all separate, moving on to whatever it is that you need to do. Glacies, alongside Nobu, goes out to the Underdark and starts adventuring around in there, doing work, gathering coin. Alatar, before he goes, he contacts a group of people called the Toku, and they discern an island that is not difficult to get to, but very well hidden from the eye, where you can start the process of construction. Morian is going to help produce this for you. I apologize. Glacies, go ahead and talk to Lucian, who isn't here.
So before Glacies was gonna leave, she was gonna talk to Lucian and say basically that they say that funerals are usually for the living and not really for the dead, and I know you lost two people you cared about, and I'm not one to be sentimental, but it's sometimes nice to remember the good things or even just things that happened with those people. For instance, the first time I met Imperial, I was trying to buy some magical bolts and I had no money, and he originally bought them so I would owe him a favor or have some influence over me. And at first, I'll be honest, I was kind of mad. I didn't like the fact they did that, but as I grew to know Imperial and he became someone I trusted in combat and more of a friend, he ended up giving me the bolts just from bets or just stupid reasons, like needing them, I guess. But thinking now back to that, I don't think I would have been too bothered if I owed him a favor. Hopefully he finds the peace in death that he never truly had in life. As for Ellie, I didn't know very well, but he's one of the bravest fighters I've ever met. It's as if he had lightning in his veins, how fast he would dash into combat. Died a warrior's death, so that's something not many people get, and it's something that's worth honoring. Thank Ellie for his sacrifice. I hope this means something to you, Lucian. If you're ever looking for me, I'm going to be in the Underdark in Fevrin. Just ask for Exploring Lauren. and she's gonna turn herself back into her white girl form and start leaving.
Lucian looks over at you, not raising his head above the line of the hood, but just, if you really think it was a good option owing Imperial anything, you didn't know him quite well enough. You see the hint of a little curl of a smile. As we fast forward, please mute yourself, Glacies. Thank you. You all begin drifting apart one by one, Alatar and Lucian being the only two to stay put, alongside Orion, this new individual, placed here by Nobu and by fate. Orion, currently you are not allowed to keep the blade until Lucian becomes more familiar with you. Not because you could not physically take it if you wanted, you could, but out of respect, he wants to know more about you before he trusts that to you. As well as, I believe, many of the other companions you have. Gelahast, you are sent over to the very top of the war. Far outside the reaches of most of your allies and all of your friends. It was a one-way ticket, and you're gonna have to find your way back. Alatar, the island itself has a little bit of a divot that sinks in, but a soft sand and dirt that allows water to flow into it and drip back into the sea. There's already a platform here, as if somebody was beginning to build some type of home, but is nothing more than just the basic structure, which you can expand upon across the next however long you wish to do this. Glacies and Nobu in the Underdark. And after 5 days, everyone has split. Now, you all have your goals. You all have your desires to complete individually. But the one thing you all share is the stories that have been expressed to you in just the few days you spent here in Morian. The stories that were half experienced and half told to Nobu. You're told about the last, or you reminisce about the last battle against the Croton. How harsh it was, how it could have been better, how it could have been more calculated, running through the battle plans over and over again, and frustration lays upon you as you do. And then you get to thinking about that tower, where you had more allies than you could count, but too far were all of your prepared plans pulled, with no luck of that being useful. While in a drunken stupor, everybody starts sharing all of their memories, going all the way back to that island where you first found this new powerful gem that Lucian is wielding, and now learning a bit more about in himself, as well as discovering this enemy that ailed you until recently. You go further back to the fight that happened between Leo and each of you. A frightful battle. One that none of you thought you would be able to win, but somehow walked away and prevailed. Even further to the Battle of the Croton along the road, where Lucian lost yet another one of his friends. Childhood friend that none of you even knew about. and then even further back to your first time in Morian, exploring the castle, going after Zachariah, helping your friend Nobu kill a man who was abusing his sister and potentially his nephew, named after him, where you made a home for yourselves in this world. Battling alongside your newfound allies on top of a massive ship as a terrifying kraken crashed and destroyed into it. Meeting Ellie for the first time, seeing the ferocity up close and the sparks of electric currents shooting from him into his enemies. Get even further back in your own minds. Oh, not this one. Tracking down beasts in the fire territory. Slaying a purple worm with Sobek and your friends. Things seem so terrifying back then, even by what you were doing right now's standards, but looking back on it, you can't imagine having to deal with that as an impossible situation like you originally wielded. And even back when you traveled into the Hells and fought against numerous creatures and creations. This is also the wrong, well, technically the wrong one. And back where Lucian came into the picture. A large goblin encampment where he was captured, as well as a couple of other allies who are no more. Remembering back to when goblins were the worst thing you all had to deal with. But the story began in a little tavern on the side of the world, out of reach of any town, just looking for some extra coin. Players, thank you all. This has been a fantastic journey. I've appreciated every moment that has transpired. And to this day, this has been one of my favorite games that I get to run. Your journey started small, and you've moved on very far. Thank you all. And anybody tuning in for the final story arc of Zodiac, I hope you're ready for a hell of a ride. Good night.